Remember, knowledge, it ain't free. You got to pay attention and don't believe the hype.
And they're off in the Kentucky Derby.
For some, they say it's the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. For us, it's about potential financial opportunities. Never bring a knife to a gunfight, and make no mistake, big money is up for grabs and this is a fight. Never settle for second best. The Past the Wire annual Kentucky Derby seminar. Nobody does it better. Preparation is key. Be better prepared, delve deeper, stealth. They won't see us coming and they won't know we're there. Money management, ticket structure, pace, all the intangibles, thoroughgraph, everything that matters to make it count, to have that edge. In the end, if things go as planned, it'll be like we stole the money. This is important, so you're going to want to remember it. If you're a cat and you want to become a lion, you're going to have to lose your taste for rats.
Hey, Sure Bet Coffee. Put that giddy up in your cup. That giddy up in your cup. Sure Bet Coffee. Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up.
There's a lot of ways to handicap a horse race and a lot of ways to bet on it. But nobody that I know does it like Gio Setti and his full card, precise order handicap. Every horse in the race gets a predicted order of finish like only Gio can do, way beyond a deep dive, available exclusively on select days at Past the Wire. Himself, Frankie Dettori. Ciao, Frankie, tutto a posto.
It's a posto. Yes, that's a good start. So you haven't lost your Italian.
You're watching Past the Wire TV, presented by Am Wager.
Tracking trips at Past the Wire. There is no better time than now to join and ride with this clan. We'll be your second set of expert trained eyes. We ain't gonna buy you a fish. Sure, we'll give you some, but more importantly, we'll show you how to fish and make you a better. CAWs, sharks in the water, no problem. We'll go against anybody, and we have the track record to prove it. Big days, big pools, and select days all year long. Well, I'll play them all. Looking for an ace? You're in the right place. Want to find that diamond? Be with us. Want to know more? Just ask a member or visit us at pastthewire.com and check out the Tracking Trips page. Nobody does it better. Ciao tutti. Tampa Bay Derby weekend, and I gotta say, they got a beautiful card at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday. Not only the Tampa Bay Derby, but some really nice supporting stakes, some really nice horses running, a couple of Tracking Trips horses running, and hopefully we can do some damage and get hot. Hang tight. There's a helicopter or something flying overhead. We're sitting here outside. Beautiful Southwest Florida weather. A little cool today, but nice enough to be outside. And where else would you rather be? I don't know. Uh, big card, big card on Saturday. So we're gonna do a little Derby radar. Talk about the Derby. You know, it's that time of year. We're leading up to the Derby. I'm starting to get excited about our seminar. We've started taking reservations. We got a bunch already. We're going to cut it off at a reasonable number, but there's plenty of spots available. You could find it on PassTheWire.com if you are so inclined to join. It is the best, not because it's ours or mine, but it's the best seminar in the game, bar none. Record speaks for itself. Don't listen to me. Listen to what people who've been to them say. And we'll tie into the Breeders' Cup seminar a little bit because we'll talk about a horse in the Tampa Bay Derby that we liked on our Breeders' Cup seminar that's worth mentioning. But we'll get to that in a moment. You know, journalism. I've been on them, I thought, since November of last year. But Pat, good friend of ours, good friend of the show, good friend of Pass the Wire, was so kind to point out that it was actually October when I said that he was my top Derby horse. And one thing, there's been a couple of other horses on my radar. It's been very short this year, my Derby radar, but journalism has been in that number one spot since October, and that hasn't changed. You know, he was super impressive in the San Felipe, more so than you realize. Okay, and Mott's horse in the Fountain of Youth was less impressive than you realize, and I'll explain why. Both ran great, and both are on top of my list right now. Journalism number one, Mott's horse Sovereignty, whatever, however the hell you say it, I'm bad with names, is number two. But realize this: first, Mott's horse. The run up was about half a mile. I'm exaggerating, I get it, but there was a big run up. So we can completely negate that short stretch, mile and a 16th Gulfstream factor that he had to overcome to win that race and beat River Times. Had a big run up, negates all that. Still ran huge, still a horse to watch going forward. Still, got that look of a legitimate Derby contender. But his race, in my opinion, was not as good as it looked. Journalism's race, in my opinion, was even better than it looked. Why? I don't care what anybody says. And I know that I'm right. Doesn't matter how I know, but I know that I'm right. They went into that race absolutely knowing that they did not have to win it, and that was not the goal. The goal was the first Saturday in May. They didn't want to gut their horse chasing Bob. Yeah, they would love to beat him. They were in there to win. I'm not saying that. But they were not looking to gut journalism, chasing Bonds, and have no gas in the tank for the Santa Anita Derby and the Kentucky Derby. Absolutely not the plan. Mike McCarthy is very savvy. Umberto Rispoli is an intricate part of that team. And they knew what the goal was and what they were looking to do. The horse just went into beast mode anyway, turning for home. And good horses do that. This is a son of Curlin, looks a lot like Curlin, runs a lot like Curlin. He's got, and I said it last year, then nobody was on his bandwagon. Okay, now everybody's on his bandwagon. There's so many people on his bandwagon. This horse has so much weight now. I may have to jump off his bandwagon, but I don't go by that. I don't let other people really affect me. And bottom line is, there's only like 3 or 4 people that I know that can actually mush a horse and actually affect the outcome of a race, and they are out there. There are some that are that bad. But normally I don't let that affect me. I bet my own opinion and my own opinion only. And this horse, I've thought, has Kentucky Derby, Belmont Stakes type written all over him since I first seen him on the racetrack. So journalism remains in the number one spot. A couple of horses fell off by the wayside. McAfee, disappointing into Gotham. Right now, you know, the other horse that's kind of been on my radar since the very beginning is Chance and McPatrick. We'll talk about him more when we talk about the Tampa Bay Derby. But, you know, exciting time of the year. Again, the Derby seminars coming up. You know, it's all according to what you want to do and what you want to be. But if you want to ride with us, you'll never starve. I guarantee you that. Derby seminar, past the wire. It is the best. And where does it lead? If things work out, right here. So sign up, get a spot. This is what we hope happens. So that's the goal, you know. Always looking for that. And let's hope we find it. So, Derby Radar. Journalism, absolutely number one. Mott's Horse Sovereignty, holding tight at number two. Chance and McPatrick, right now, number three. And another thing, you know, we talked about on the last Derby Radar show. I think Gio was on it with me, and Gio's not on this one. I think he's going to be doing his deep dive for the Tampa Bay Derby card. We're going to have a lot of those races on tracking trips as well. So all different ways to go this weekend with us. Again, ride with us. You'll never starve. You know, we talked about Mott's Horse and journalism both being in a position where they didn't have to win. Chance and McPatrick on Saturday is in that very same position coming off the bench. But we'll get to that when we get to him in the Tampa Bay Derby. And we might as well get started in that now because that's really the only horses on my Kentucky Derby radar right now. You know, I say a lot of things about betting, you know, cashless tickets to win more money, use less horses, double up, don't hedge, don't box. All these things you either embrace or you don't. You know, at the end of the day, there's one benchmark. You either beat the game or you don't. The rest is all bullshit. Make no mistake about it. Posting tickets, bragging when you win, quiet when you lose. I'll be the first to tell you, I've had a rough couple of months. My tracking trips, people have stuck with me, had a rough couple of months. Some people joined for a month, bailed. Oh, well, listen, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And we're out there, not just to give out horses, but to build up your stable mail, show you what to watch for, and take down those scores. And, you know, 2, 3, 6-figure scores over the course of a year erases all those losers. So it's been a rough couple of months for me. I haven't been hitting the ball. Still pick, you know, some winners, but just haven't been hitting the ball right. And the beauty of this game is when that happens to me, it usually turns. And those of you that have been with me for a couple of years or a lot of years know that when it turns just as hard, and we go on our nice roll. So hopefully that'll happen sooner than later. I do like the card, and you know that there's been a lot of cards I don't like and haven't liked lately, and the pickings are slim, but I do like the card Saturday at Tampa Bay. Now, I say all these things about betting and what to do and what not to do. Do what works for you. I share what works for me. I don't hedge. I don't box. I don't bet other people's opinion. I don't use every horse, even every horse I think can win sometimes. I like to take my shots, and when I'm right, make it count. Everybody that plays this game is going to be wrong more than they're right. So how do you negate that? How do you balance that? When you're right, you got to make it count and hit it out of the park. Only way for me to play this game. But, you know, you got to do you. So with that, another thing that I always say is we don't marry them. And I say this because Patch Adams is in the Tampa Bay Derby. When I did the first Derby Radar show and even the second Derby Radar show this year, a couple of people emailed and messaged me, how come you don't have Patch Adams? You got to have Patch Adams. You're crazy. Patch Adams, Patch Adams, Patch Adams. I'm like, I'm sorry. It's my Derby radar, not yours. You got him on yours. I don't have him on mine. He ran at Oakland Park, I think. He didn't run well. And I said, see, I didn't have him on my Derby radar. I still don't. That doesn't mean I might not like him on Saturday. We don't marry these horses. We bet on them. There's a horse that I liked in the Breeders' Cup, Juvenile, that we're going to talk about. All right? He's in the Tampa Bay Derby. Just because I liked him then doesn't mean I have to like him now. We don't marry them. We bet on them. If Kentucky Derby Day comes and journalism doesn't look like he's got the right setup, the right trip, the right draw, the right track, the right whatever. I loved them all year since last year, my Derby horse. Doesn't mean that I'm going to tell you today I'm betting on them come the first Saturday in May. Those are all game time decisions, and they should be for you the same way they are for me. We don't marry them. We bet on them. Big difference. Big difference. And a lot of people don't understand that. So it's important. Tampa Bay Derby, small field, going a mile and a 16th. The biggest thing to keep in mind, in my opinion, about the Tampa Bay Derby is and it hasn't actually been a stepping stone for Derby winners. We know that, but there's been a few. But here's the thing. It's a phenomenal racetrack to leg up on. It's a quirky, heavy track, even when it plays fast and plays to speed, which it does sometimes. It's just a deep, heavy, quirky, sandy type of track that legs horses up very, very well. I've been making scores on horses that get overlooked coming off Tampa because everybody thinks it's a second or third class meet. Horses coming off there and running all over the country after running on Tampa Bay Downs and running big, kind of like we've been doing this year with Zita. Turfway Park. We know how those horses run when they get off that synthetic at Turfway Park. Zita, that's for us. Now, Tampa, we keep that in mind going forward. Horses come off that track with some bottom to them, and I love that. So we'll get into the race. We'll talk about what we got to talk about, and we'll see where we go. We'll try and get done with this quick. So from the rail, we got Owen Almighty, Brian Lynch's horse with Irad on the rail. You lose a point or two in the odds with Irad. Lynch is a phenomenal trainer. He's 40% at Tampa. Actually worked for Bobby Frankel way back when, like Chad Brown did. But Lynch is an excellent horseman. And he's got a nice horse here. He's a nice horse. He win the Pasco, got DQ'd, come back, won a game second to John Hancock into Sam Davis, but couldn't get past him. John Hancock just outgamed him and outfought him to the wire. That's a nice horse to watch going forward. But Owen Almighty, again, looks to me like a player to be around the money, to be in the money, not necessarily win the race. That's just my opinion. He looks like he's a cut below some of the better ones. And even though he's got that form to him and got that bottom to him, and some of these are coming in a little bit fresh, and he does get a nice inside trip. I'm not going to say he can't win, but I just got a feeling, in my mind that somebody's going to be a little better than him, and he's more of a second, third, or fourth type player than a winner. Now, the way I've been going lately, you could probably go right to the window and bet on him, but that's just my opinion, and I always back my opinion. And when I'm cold, it doesn't matter because it always turns. So I don't sweat that shit, and you shouldn't either. Second horse in the race is Chance McPatrick from the 2-hole. Pratt sticks with him, jumps off Patch Adams, rode him in every start, puts blinkers on, coming off the bench since the Breeders' Cup. And in my opinion, I don't think there's any question that Chance McPatrick is the best horse in this race. Doesn't mean he has to win. Doesn't mean he's not going to win or can't win. Chad Brown doesn't send horses that are not fit, doesn't send horses that are not ready, doesn't send horses that are short. That said, this horse is probably going to run back in the bluegrass, probably point for the Derby, unless he gets a little bit of a setback. Then we know Chad will go right to the Preakness and win that. Loves to do that. Has done it at least twice. But early voting and cloud computing. Chad doesn't run in the Derby unless they're ready. Sierra Leone was ready as can be. Zandon was ready as can be. Neither one won, but they both peaked. I expect Chance and McPatrick to do the same. And that means he's not going to run his peak or best race come Saturday. The other thing is he doesn't really get the setup for him to do that Saturday. There's not a lot of speed in the Tampa Bay Derby. So to me, this is a great first start for Chance and McPatrick, a great stepping stone, building block, put that bottom into him kind of race. But maybe we could beat him at a shortish type price, knowing that he's the one to watch and maybe the one to want in those bigger races going forward, because that's truly my opinion. But maybe we could beat him and beat the short price with Irad on the 1, Pratt on the 2, Chad Brown on the 2, top 2-year-old horse. To me, the horse was awesome in the maiden race and hopeful at Saratoga, the Champagne at Aqueduct, and then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he didn't fire, but Citizen Bull has kind of validated himself a little bit. And that race was really a merry-go-round. Citizen Bull went wire to wire. Gaming was just about, laying second and third, the whole way. Hill Road, who we'll get to next, did make up ground, but the race was really over. And Chance and McPatrick just never really got the setup, the trip, and anything to go his way that day. So I'm willing to draw a line in that race. The other factors, maybe didn't like Delmar that much. So I still think he's the best horse in here and the one to watch going out of this race, even though he might not win the race. Doesn't mean he can't win the race, because Chad jumps up. When they're ready, they're ready. So you never know. But I think we may be able to, get by him here. We'll see. Hill Road. Those of you that rode the Derby seminar, the Breeders' Cup seminar with me last year, and most of you, most of my seminar people stick with me, and my tracking trips people stick with me. You know that I liked Hill Road in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I think he was 50-1 on the morning line. He went off 61-1. All right, he run third by 4 lengths. Never been on the dirt. He was a Lemon Drop Kid mare. He was out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare by Quality Road. I thought he'd handle the dirt. I liked his works. I liked him on the racetrack. I liked his races in Europe. Both the races in Ireland. I watched the replays, and I thought he was going to handle the dirt. And guess what? He did. He run third. The race didn't fall apart with the speed like I thought it would. East Avenue, remember, got left in the gate on the rail. He would have been part of the pace, no doubt. Had all of that happened, we might have hit this horse home at 60-1 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I never knew at the time that he was going to wind up staying here and wind up in Chad's barn. I got no doubt that Chad is going to move this horse up. I got no doubt that he belongs with the better 3-year-olds. I'll decide whether he gets added to my Derby radar after the race on Saturday. But again, he's another one doesn't have to win. The pace, setup, and scenario, in my view, doesn't really favor him winning unless it just falls apart or unless he's just that good. But I do expect him to make a run, be finishing well, get a lot out of this race, and he's another one. The 2 Chad Brown horses, without any doubt, in my opinion, are the ones to watch as legitimate Derby contenders coming out of the Tampa Bay Derby, and that's whether or not they win. Okay? We do these shows, we try and find winners, but we try and find things we could take forward to capitalize on later, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. We're trying to make people that watch be a better. That's what it's all about. Be a better. And this goes towards that. So Hill Road, definitely one to watch. Going to move forward, working at pacing. I got no doubt that he's ready. And interesting, he and Chance and McPatrick both put blinkers on. I didn't look up the stat, but I'd love to know the stat on a race where Chad's got two horses coming off the bench in a stake that both put blinkers on, because this guy knows what he's doing like nobody. So interesting. But I do believe he's getting these horses ready to peak, not on Saturday, but down the road. Doesn't mean they can't win, but means we might be able to get away with betting against them on Saturday. Brodeur, Mark Cassie, he's been on fire everywhere. It just seems like he's running live horses all over the place. Jose Ortiz has some pace. I don't know. You know, he won those two races on wet, fast racetracks. I think he's just going to get a fast racetrack come Saturday, comes off Lasix. Gonna have to prove it to me. I don't know that he's as good as those other horses. He's a pass. Veloso, another one that puts blinkers on. Chad Summers, coming back from the Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill Downs. I mean, he looks okay, but again, another one that looks a cut below the better ones in here to me, unless he really took a monster leap forward from 2 to 3, which is possible. He's got some really, really nice workouts in his folder, but another one that would have to prove it to me. Naughty Rascal, he'd be a pretty major upset in my opinion. Which brings us to the bottom horse and the last horse in the race, Patch Adams. Patch Adams, when he won that race big at Churchill Downs, and everybody said I should have had him on my Derby radar, I said, no, he didn't look like a Derby horse to me. He looked like a fast horse, looked like a good horse, looked like a nice horse, but didn't look like a Derby horse. And I'm still not sure that he does. But I do give him a big shot to win on Saturday. Like I said, we don't marry him. We bet on him. Patch Adams, to me, okay, I'm going to forgive the Southwest, where he ran just okay at 4 to 5. I'm going to overlook the fact that Pratt takes Chance and McPatrick over him, because I'd have done the same thing if I was Pratt's agent or if I was Pratt himself. I would have said, listen, I'm riding the better horse, even if he's not going to win on Saturday, and he may win. Because to me, it's a 3-horse race, the 2 Chad Browns and Patch Adams. I don't see anybody else that I think can win this race. But I'm going to give the vote narrowly to Patch Adams and say he's the one I want to bet on Saturday, because he's going to get the perfect trip. He's going to sit off Owen Almighty and Jose's horse, get the jump on the 2 Chad Brown horses, and hopefully with that route rate race at Oak Lawn under his belt and in the tank, he's going to be able to get home and get the job done with an outside trip. Sometimes the outside at Tampa, that 3, 4, 5 path plays very, very, very good. So that means that Chad's horses might have to go outside of that and really wide to make that run, unless they want to try and come up the inside, which often is not the best part of that racetrack. So trying to really deep dive, overthink this race, which could backfire right in my face. But I think Patch Adams gets the jump and gets a narrow edge to get home on Saturday, but will not be the one that I think will be winning the races against these horses later on when it counts, if that makes any sense to anybody out there. So that's kind of how I see the Tampa Bay Derby. Now, what would be ideal for me, and this will be discussed on Tracking Trips more, and Gio will probably discuss it on his full card precise handicap as well. But on Tracking Trips, what I'll look to do is have 2 tickets in the pick 5. One where I single Patch Adams because of the trip, and one where I have somebody else singled who's also on the other ticket, because I don't do that ABC Chinese restaurant bullshit. But hopefully I've got a nice single or 2 in one of the earlier races, and I think I do, where I could use all 3 of these, okay, both Chad's horses just in case, and Patch Adams, and still wind up with a value-laden ticket, just because of my structure, because ticket structure and money management, knowing how to bet is as important as handicapping. And I think I'm going to be in a position to do that based on the card and my early look at the other races. But that's how I see the Tampa Bay Derby. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully there's some nuggets here for some of you to, take away. But for me, it's a three horse show. Chance and McPatrick, like I said, off the bench, probably the best in the race, but the pace and other scenarios are a little bit against him, in my opinion. But he's definitely one of the ones to watch and definitely on my Derby radar. Hill Road, loved him in the Breeders' Cup, third at 60-1. Hopefully, we'll have a couple like that actually win on the Derby seminar. We'll see, but I believe Chad will move this horse up, and I don't think they would leave him with him, and I don't think Chad would take him in the barn if he didn't think the same exact thing. Patch Adams, he gets the cherry trip, man. He gets the catbird trip. So that's pretty much how I see it. If you enjoy the show, if you get anything out of it, if you want to show some love and support, hit that like button, subscribe. Let us know in the comments who you like, if you agree, disagree, what you think. I'll put a link to the Derby seminar for those interested in the write-up to the video. You can also find it on PastTheWire.com. I always say this because I always try to do it. We're going to try and make this our best seminar yet. We've had some great ones. Go to the testimonial page about us on PastTheWire.com, and you see for yourself what people who've been there say. Thank you to Wager and Sure Bet Coffee. Nothing like drinking some Sure Bet Coffee first thing in the morning with your racing form. Helps you, helps horses, tastes great, smooth like silk. Love it. So thank you to both of them. Wager, they've got a promotion going on where they're giving away a free month of tracking trips. No better way to try it out. Try it out for free. See if you like it and if it's for you. Again, marathon, not a sprint. But Tracking Trips has a page on PastTheWire.com that tells all about it, and I'm always here to answer any questions. So with that, what do you do in this game? That's what you do. You trust your instincts, you make it count, and when you're right, do some damage. Ciao for now.
And here's Tama in the final stages. The Santa Anita Derby goes to Tama. It's Tama, absolutely terrific, winning Malibu by 4 widening lengths.
Pass the Wire TV, your #1 source for horse racing news and interviews, handicapping analysis, betting insights, and more. Pass the Wire TV covers the biggest races at the best tracks.
Garnet and Luis Saez to win the Belmonte Stakes at Saratoga. The Grey Wizard is absolutely flying. Champagne won. The Grey Wizard. Oh, it's very close. Leave it to the judge.
Like, share, and subscribe to Pass the Wire TV. Nobody does it better.
Blood. That makes you related. Loyalty. That makes you family. Nobody does it better.